Welcome back, movie watchers. Thank you guys for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to talk about Centaurworld Season 2 on Netflix. Season 1 of Centaurworld ended with Horse and Rider facing a frightening enemy. Back in Centaurworld, the herd summoned up the courage to enter the void and fight for their friend. So in Season 2, we're leading into this war in this void with the Nowhere King. And Rider in the human world and Horse in the Centaur world are trying to gather forces to fight the Nowhere King in the void. I was really looking forward to the series because the Centaur world is a very obscure, really complex show that really surprised me. So going into the second season, I was looking forward to building on that story whilst getting the same characters that I enjoyed from the first season. Since this is a story centered around a war and gathering forces to fight the Nowhere King, I was surprised with the lack of urgency and the lack of building the forces and making sure there's a plan in place for it all. Since this is only 8 episodes and it didn't really start to ramp up until about episode 6. The first 5 episodes, occasionally in those episodes, they were trying to create alliances with other creatures in Centaurworld, and those parts did provide that sense of urgency to the show. But then it kind of just calmed down and it became fun. Like the previous season, there was a lot of great humor and characters within it. But I was surprised with how they didn't develop the story for a good majority of the series. And the 8th episode is an hour and 13 minutes. And that is where we get the meat of the story. That is where we get the conflict between Centaurworld and the Nowhere King in the void, and there is some really disturbing moments with all of that. I was happy with how the series ended and gave us those moments that I expected throughout the whole series. There was a lot of sacrifice and fighting, and you could really feel that sense of urgency and that dread and the creepy moments from the Nowhere King. I was really happy that they decided to extend that last episode. So I really did appreciate that because it did make the series feel complex and building on that story. I was looking forward to getting to know Rider just a little more because of how Horse explained and talked about Rider in all of Season 1. I still feel like Season 2 gave us a little less of Rider than what I was expecting. We did get some good scenes for Rider, especially coming towards the end of the series. But for most of it, I feel like I still really don't know this character too much. I'm going off of how Horse explains and talks about Rider. I still would like to know a little more of this character because you do feel like there is this genuine bond between Horse and Rider, and I wanted to explore that just a little more. The characters are still very odd. From Mama Wink to Glendale, these characters are all odd in their own way. There's a very specific episode that allows Horse to dive into these characters' past, and you're really able to understand some complex moments for these characters and emotional scenes. So there's some backstory for some of these characters, and I found it to be very surprising how they were able to bring out the personality to these characters and then go back in time, look at these characters and how are they hurting and where they are now and how they got there. I thought it was a very solid episode that provided a lot of development for these characters because just for the most part, I felt like these characters are just fun. They're entertaining to watch. They have odd designs. And then Season 2 is adding another layer to these characters to make them even more enjoyable. There's a lot of new characters, a lot of new creatures in here that are introduced. The designs for them match what we've seen in Season 1. All the different centaurs in here and all the different creatures that they try to form an alliance with, they look great. Some of them are really big and terrifying. Some of them are really small and cute. But the one that impressed me the most with its design and the way that they approached it was the Nowhere King. And there is some good development for the Nowhere King to where you're anticipating his appearance and more of the Nowhere King. And his plots within the series, I thought it definitely did work. Had that really different tone to the Centaurworld show, where everything is bright, it's funny, it's entertaining, and then the Nowhere King is dark. The colors are dark, Nowhere King is dark, everything about it feels very different from the tone of everything else we got with Centaurworld. So season 2 I thought was really impressive. I wish there was a little more development for that conflict between the Void, the Nowhere King, and Centaurworld, Horse and Rider, because they set it up very nicely in the first couple episodes. It fell apart like episodes 3 through 5, and then it started to ramp up a little more after that and started to build on the Nowhere King, the Void, getting Rider more involved, sacrifice, more development for these characters. It all worked. But the animation still is there, the humor still is there. There's a lot of singing in here, and I think it adds a lot to the story as well. So I overall did enjoy it. I thought there were some really interesting storylines in place. I just wanted a little more from the conflict in some of the characters like Rider. So before I give you my score for Centaurworld Season 2, make sure to check out my channel. Here I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, ranking videos, tier lists, all that fun movie related content that you see on YouTube. I do it all here, so hit that subscribe button and get it all in one spot. I'm going to go ahead and give Centaurworld Season 2 a B-. Thank you guys for checking my review for Centaurworld on Netflix. Have you guys seen Season 2? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming content. My name is Just Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.